you're going to go to your photos and select your picture. And then you can see that this is in the middle of my page. I'm going to enlarge that picture. So now I'm going to lock that so that I can zoom in. And so the first thing what you do is I want you to add a layer on top of the figure. And you're basically going to do a skeleton. I want you to imagine that you have x-ray vision and you can see the person, well in this case yourself, you can see from the head. I want you to keep this really loose, right? So I'm sketching, you can see how loose that is. So I'm making an oval and the eyes are here, and then the neck, if I were to put a line in the middle of the neck, that's where it'd be. So I'm imagining I can see his spine, and his spine curves down to the middle of his hips. So I'm going to draw a line where those hips are. So if this is his hip joint here, his other hip joint is here. And then his shoulder, you can actually really see the shoulder clearly because of how muscular my model is. So you're going to notice that I drew these circles where the shoulders are and where the hips are. And I'm going to do this for all the joints. So now I have all the joints and I've already drawn his spine, right? Remember the spine is coming down to the hips. And so this rib cage is coming across. And if I really look closely, his spine, his front of his body is here, right? Because he's not flat. He has form. And so if I think about wrapping a line around his body, it has form. So you can see how this is starting to have form. So think about sketching in almost like you're wrapping your pencil around the figure, right? So that's the chest cavity. So think about that. And then for this arm, if I make it a skeletal stick figure, I know which direction things are going in, but again, you want to think about these circles wrapping around the figure. Sometimes people say to you, you could do an oval shape from one joint to the other, something like that. But if you fill in this space of your photo with these little ovals over and over again, and you'll start to get a sense of how the figure has form, right? It's not flat. And that's one of the things that we were working on with our Elements project, is how do we transform a flat shape, right? So if I were to just outline this figure, it would just be a flat shape. It'd be a silhouette. How do I turn this figure into form? So you can see here, the shadow is underneath his arm here, and then the highlight is up here. That creates the illusion of form, and we're going to do that. But before you do that, you need the shape. And so I'm going to understand this shape as it relates to a three-dimensional form. Hands, super hard. For now, what I want you to do is just outline the shape. So it's more like a mitten, right? So think about the shape of the hand, just the outside shape of the hand, and then give the thumb. And then the foot, again, do not try to draw the details, just draw the outside of it. And let's take a look at what we have here. I'm going to pinch in. to his hip area here, and I'm going to make those letters until the legs connect. And notice here, the neck. Again, think about that C wrapping around. He has a very large neck, and because his back muscle is popping up here. Next steps, add another layer. Make sure you're on a different layer than the one where you were doing your skeleton. And now we're going to go back in and we're going to outline. So I'm going to turn off my figure photo and I'm going to go on to my new layer and I'm going to choose a different tool. I'm not going to use my pencil. I'm actually going to use my technical pen, and I'm going to use like a 1.4 or 1.5 pen, and I'm going to change that to a dark color, and I'm going to use that to draw. I'm going to bump this up just a little bit. I'm going to try 1.6. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to start to outline the figure I drew. And you can try using the predictive stroke, which will round out your sketch a little bit. If it's too much, like that looks a little cartoony, you can take this down to level 1, try that, see if you like that better, or just get rid of it altogether. It's up to you. And if you start to get confused about like what you have, you can always bring back your photo. So I'm just going to take my time outlining around the form. Okay, so there you have it. I have a nice outlined figure, and the next step is to work on the face.